Hi everyone. Today we'll discuss base pointer to the derived class object. So this topic will include inheritance, polymorphism, right? So if you haven't studied those topics, I recommend you to please watch those topics, right? So it's an important concept in C++ which will be used in the later videos also, right? So let's start. It's basically a simple concept, but due to the involvement of pointers and all becomes a little bit of tedious, but it's basically a simple concept, right? So to understand this, let's understand with the help of example. So first we'll create a base class, right? For example, this is our base class and this is our child class, right? So this is our base class and this is our child. This is our child class, right? So child class means base class is inherited, and we have a common method. We'll do method overriding here. For example, there is a method called any method, there is a method display here, and there's another method display here. Obviously the contents may be same or different, doesn't matter. So till now, since we have studied method overriding, I think it should not be any problem, right? I guess it's clear, right? So uh, let's move ahead, and if it's not clear, uh, please watch the videos on polymorphism, right? It's basically runtime polymorphism, right? It's all runtime polymorphism. And let's create a pointer to the base class, right? So the pointer to the base class, you can say base class pointer or something like that. It's a base class pointer, right? Base class pointer, if I have to write in the code, then it's like base class pointing to its base class pointer, right? Right. So this is the thing, and since this is the base class pointer of type this, now let's create an object, right? So let's forget about objects. You can see these as the objects only, right? So since the objects are just entities, basically real entities, when the memory is assigned to a class in object, the memory is assigned, right? So now I guess till now there should not be any problem in this, right? Now let's point this pointer to the derived class, right? Basically what I have done is there is a base class pointer and I have pointed to the derived class. If you want to see in the code, then let's see this in the code only, right? Base class, base class pointer, and base class pointer is pointing to derived class. Till now, so here, is it allowed in C++ that a pointer of base class is pointing to an object of some different class, right? Basically pointing of the base class is basically of type base class, and it's pointing to the object of some different type of to the object of some different kind of class, right? Now if I try to access display function with the help of this base class pointer, to which display function will this base class pointer point to? This one or this one? Because base class pointer is of type base class and it's pointing to child class. So basically the whole process will be there. The linking of base class pointer to the child class method or the base class method will be decided on the runtime, but basically it will point to the base class method. Why? Because even though it has pointed to the derived class object, but it's still of type base class, right? So that's why it will point to the base class. I guess it's not clear this way, right? If it's not clear this way, let's try to understand it with the live demonstration, right? This whole thing is a part of dynamic binding or late binding, right? Late binding because it's the whole means to which method to refer, right? This whole thing is decided not at the compile time, at the runtime, right? Because it's the part of method overriding. So method overriding is runtime polymorphism, right? And let's see at the live demonstration, right? This is our header file, and let's say we have a base class, right? We have a base class and we have a function display. Base class display, right? Now we have a child class which is inherited from the base class, and it also has a display method. Yeah, it's not returning anything, so yeah. So now let's create a pointer to the base class, right? And let's create the object of child class. Right. So if you can understand, this is a pointer of type base class, right? Okay, right. Now base class pointer will, if I try to do this, base class pointer is a pointer of type base class, means it should point to the base class, but I am pointing it to the child class. So basically what happens is, child class is basically, as the name suggests, child class is the child class of base class, so it is allowed, right? Pointer of the base class we can point to the object of child class, right? So this thing is allowed. For clarity purpose, base class pointer pointing to child class. Now the confusing part is, now base class pointer tries to access display function, right? Now the base class pointer is of type base class, it is pointing to child class, both have a same member function. To which member function this pointer will point to, right? To which member function it will basically access, this one or this one. So let's not discuss it, let's run it only. Yeah, base class display, it has pointed to the base class. Why? It can be confusing, right? Because it has pointed to the child class, but it is of the type base class. So always remember, it's an important concept in C++ that if a pointer of type is of type base classes and it's pointing to some other child class, then if there is some common method, right, then it will point to the method of the base class, right? So this is the concept. I guess now you are able to map what I was saying here. Here I guess it was not that much clear. There is a display method, there is a base class, and there is child class. There is a base class pointer which is pointing to the child class, and if I'm accessing display method, it will basically uh, access the display of base class, right? This one. So this is the whole concept. I guess you have understood it. If you haven't understood it, then please ask in the comments, because this is actually important. Not for the college purpose or the school purpose, but for the development purpose, it's important, right? Throughout the programming languages, concepts mostly remains the same. The syntax changes, right? So C++ is a perfect language to understand everything, right? So that's the thing. I hope you understand it. In the next lecture, we'll discuss the solution of the diamond problem, and after that, we'll discuss the virtual functions, right? So till then, stay tuned. Thank you.